Hi, I'm Greg Christensen,
Hi, I'm Cori Hetzel.
and we're with the River Home in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Greetings! The story behind wanting to open a home for the dying in our community of Albuquerque began for me by resisting being drawn to hospice. And at some point, I stopped resisting, volunteered for a couple of years, went to nursing school, and then started doing hospice work right away. I also had the idea for a very long time that what I wanted to create was a hospice bed and breakfast. Yes, a hospice bed and breakfast. And I met a friend, Rayla, who wanted the same thing, and she had actually found people that already had homes, Tony and Trish House and the Abode Home. And she told me we could do this, and less than 6 months later, she died of breast cancer. And at her memorial, I promised her in front of hundreds of people that I would do this. I would create this, and I would find people that wanted to help me do it. I have had many experiences as a hospice nurse with after their loved one dies, and I became very, very interested in bereavement and grief. And so for me, that is a continuation of the care that I am really passionate about providing. So we foresee bereavement and grief work, transformative grief work, being part of the River Home in Albuquerque. I've had several inspiring people influence me on wanting to create an end of life care home in Albuquerque. And one of them was Rayla Atlantis, my friend who first told me that this was being done in other parts of the country already. Kelly Scott, in our visit to Clare House last year, was so inspiring. I cried when she shared her story of creating that home. I've also been really inspired by Edwin, the founder of the Abode Home. He's had several phone conversations with me, and we also visited his home in San Antonio, Texas, when we did an RV trip to see several homes. And I was so inspired by his 20-year vision, and it gave me hope that we would be able to do this in Albuquerque. Also very inspiring to me were Dr. Janet Schreiber and Dr. Camille Cates Barnett, and the grief retreats that I volunteer co-facilitated in Santa Fe for a few years, and then actually became a retreatant when I had several members of my own family die in a very short period of time. I'm mostly inspired by the Divine Beloved One, who has given me the passion and the desire to create this home. My initial plan for starting an end of life care home in Albuquerque started about 3 years ago. And about 2 years ago, Greg Christensen joined me in the evolving process of our home. And he brings the experience of being an energy healer, an empath, and a 501c3, the Kansas City Healing Project. And I'm so happy that he's as excited and passionate about this project that I am, as I am. We've had challenges. We're doing the paperwork now. We have a board of 3, and we have our name and a logo, the River Home. We're moving forward with ease and joy. Some of our challenges in creating the River Home were people who were initially involved and excited and enthusiastic, and then decided that this really wasn't for them. They were great gifts to Greg and I and the River Home. Tricia Shelley, another hospice nurse, introduced us to the Omega Home Network and was the instigator for an RV trip to visit Clare House, the Journey Home, and the Abode Home. We did that last March, and we're very excited and inspired by everything we learned from people who have existing homes, and that challenges are part of the journey. The state of New Mexico is a very challenging part of our journey, as there are no existing homes like the Omega Home Network homes, and they want to license us as an assisted living home. And we are working with the Santa Fe home that will be in existence soon, called Scott's House, and Coming Home Connection. And we're learning a lot from how they're doing this, and we're planning on doing the same thing that they are to bypass the New Mexico regulations for assisted living homes. What I find the most surprising in this evolving process of creating the River Home in Albuquerque is the personal transformation that I have discovered is necessary for me to be one of the co-creators of this end-of-life care home in Albuquerque. We want this home to be compassionate, conscious, loving, 24/7 care in an environment that feeds the volunteers as well as those who are here to die the way they choose to. The person that I turned to who helped me get over challenges, especially when it seemed very challenging with our evolving process, when people decided to step away from the River Home, was Greg. He's very much a steady rock and has as much enthusiasm and passion for this project as I do. And also, my spiritual path is the foundation for what I consider my mission. Truly my mission in life, and the legacy that I will leave behind when I die, hopefully at the River Home. What keeps me inspired in co-creating the River Home is knowing that we will be meeting a very deep need in our Albuquerque community. As a hospice nurse, an on-call hospice nurse, I was so heartbroken to find that there are so many people that are in the final stages of their dying process who did not have anyone to care for them, neither family nor loved ones that were able or could take care of them at a time when they need 24/7 care. And so that was probably my main reason for wanting to provide this. It also gives me, because it is my purpose, it gives me a lot of joy, and I feel very fulfilled to find out and learn what the patient wants and to facilitate that happening for them in the best way that meets their needs. Even though our River Home in Albuquerque isn't open yet, I would like to share a very meaningful dying experience for one of my patients when I was an on-call hospice nurse for an agency in Albuquerque. This patient was a woman who had just come home from the hospital, and she had home health care ordered, and our agency also did that. And it was my responsibility to do her admission as a home health care patient. She was supposed to get a feeding tube, and as I was there, on my first visit, all of her family, this is a very large African American family, and the power of attorney had just left for a trip to California. So the feeding tube was ordered, and the family, all of her children, were telling me what happened in the hospital. She was pulling all of the IVs out. She expressed an experience she had about a nephew who had died, and it was very beautiful to her. And so when I met the patient, she was non-responsive, and I asked her after the family was telling me stories of what it was like for her in ICU. I asked her, are you ready? And do you want me to help you go as peacefully and comfortably as possible? And she squeezed my hand without opening her eyes. I shared this information with her family. We did a conference call with the power of attorney in California. And when I asked all of them, including the power of attorney, was it more important for their mother to live, mother and wife, her husband was also there, to live in this way with a feeding tube, or for her to have what she very clearly expressed to me through their stories and through squeezing my hand? And they unanimously agreed it was more important for her to die peacefully and comfortably. She was admitted to hospice and made very comfortable. Everyone said goodbye to her, and she died very peacefully and comfortably in her own home, just as she wished. Our river home will impact our Albuquerque community by meeting the need for person-centric, compassionate, conscious, end-of-life care here. We have been educating the public through circles that we've been holding for the last few years on death and dying, and that's expanded into heart work, conscious elderhood, and end-of-life care. And we're also finding people that are really passionate and excited to help us with the evolving process of opening our home. We discovered the Omega Home Network through another nurse who was with us for about a year on our evolving journey of opening our home. Her name was Tricia Shelley, and she had been to a conference several years ago and was looking for people that were very interested in helping her make this happen in Albuquerque. While she decided to step away from this project, I am very grateful to her for introducing us to the Omega Home Network, to know that there were other people that already had homes and that felt that it was part of their responsibility to share their information and to pay it forward and to mentor people like myself and Greg that want to start a home in a state where there are no existing homes. Greg and I look forward to mentoring others in New Mexico and around the country that want to start their own home also. The Omega Home Network has really been very inspiring and helpful in getting our project off the ground. Brittany at the Omega Home Network has been very encouraging and inspiring. When we had the challenge of losing one of our people who wanted to evolve this home with us, she was very happy to send us, and still is, send us forms, be encouraging, be supportive. I attended the conference where you are now last year, and I was so deeply inspired, and when I came back, I was ready to make this happen right now. And so I just so encourage all of you to just soak it all up and be with people who have the same passion and derive the same joy that you do in creating this sustainable model for our dying loved ones. The biggest advantage of being part of the Omega Home Network is other people who either have a home or want a home, all of the help that they can offer, not only technology-wise, forms and becoming a 501c3, but the inspiration and the camaraderie and the sisterhood and brotherhood of being with people that are doing the same thing that you want to do. This is really a grassroots, community-based, sustainable answer to the silver tsunami and all of us that are turning 65 every day. The Omega Home Network is responsible for our deep and wonderful and evolving relationship with people in Santa Fe, from Coming Home Connections and Scott's House, Glynis, Carl, her partner John, and Catherine. And we're just very grateful. It may have been that we never found them or much later in the process. And they're opening their home sooner than we are. And we are so happy to have people just an hour away that are involved in the same process.